Hello and welcome to my video all about how to make 3 different quilled earring designs. I really like using the quilling technique to make jewellery because it's so versatile. You can use absolutely any colour or all the colours if you wish. You can make simple designs or very intricate designs, and you can go as big or as small, as minimalist or as maximalist as you wish. Okay, so what tools and materials are you going to need? Well, I would say the 3 most important things you're going to need are paper, a slotted tool for quilling, and some PVA glue. Because we're making jewellery, you will also need jewellery findings. I'm going to be using gunmetal jump rings, earring hooks, and eye pins, as well as some rhodium plated earring posts. In order to attach these findings, you're also going to need some jewellery pliers. Other things you might need include scissors, a ruler, a cheap paintbrush, a pair of tweezers, some super glue, a quilling needle tool or a cocktail stick, a quilling board, although this is optional, you can use a piece of paper as a guide instead, an X-Acto knife and cutting mat, some gold paint and a paintbrush, although this is optional, an awl for making holes in the paper, and a paper cutter. Okay, so the first pair of earrings I'm going to show you is a kind of beehive design. I first cut some pages out of a second-hand book that I got at the charity shop, and I cut off the edges so that there was only text left. I then cut these book pages lengthwise to make even paper strips. In order to make sure that the strips have an even width all the way along, make sure that you cut parallel to the paper edge. The best way of doing this is to line up the paper edge with a guidance line on the paper cutter. If you don't have a paper cutter, you can cut these strips by hand using a ruler and an X-Acto knife, or you could buy pre-cut strips. The paper strips I cut are normally about 6mm wide. You'll need to cut 1 or 2 book pages into strips. Then you're going to use the slotted quilling tool to wind the paper strips into a tight coil. So place one end of a paper strip into the slotted tool and then start winding that paper into a coil, like so. Try and keep the top and bottom edges of the quilling strips aligned throughout. Once you've finished coiling that paper strip, you'll want to glue it in place. So take a cocktail stick or a quilling needle tool and use it to pick up a little bit of PVA glue. Then transfer a little bit of that glue onto the end of the paper strip. Press the end of the strip onto your paper coil until it's fixed in place. We're going to make quite a large paper coil, so now we need to attach another paper strip. So apply a tiny bit of glue onto the end of another paper strip and then attach it to the coil, just where the previous paper strip ended. And then carry on rotating the slotted tool, making sure that you're spinning it in the same direction as before. And you keep on adding paper strips in this manner until you have a paper coil that's big enough. In total, I used 6 paper strips, and the diameter of the coil at the end was around 2 centimeters. Obviously, the larger the paper coil, the larger the earrings. Once you've glued down that last paper strip, you can then leave it to dry for a short amount of time. Then we're going to shape this coil into a dome. I simply did this using my fingers and my quilling tool, and you just want to press into the middle of the coil until it forms a dome shape that you like. You can buy dome-shaped quilling moulds, however they tend to be more rounded than the cone shape that I'm after. In order to fix this shape in place, you then take a cheap paintbrush, get some PVA glue on it, and then paint the glue inside the dome. Then leave it to dry. Next, I wanted to add some embellishments to the earrings. Because the inspiration for them is beehives, I thought I would add a few bee shapes. So I cut out, from a book page, a few not very realistic looking bee shapes. I curled the wings of the bees upwards, like so, just to add a bit of dimension. And then I used a paintbrush and some gold acrylic paint just to quickly add a stripe of gold down the centre. This was just to add some colour and shine to the earrings. And then I glued a couple of the bees to each dome shape. Next, it's time to add some jewellery findings to turn these domes into earrings. So you need to push an eye pin up through the centre of each dome. If you can't push the eye pin through, then just use an awl to make a hole through the centre first. Make sure that you push the eye pin up through the dome, with the eye or the loop of the eye pin inside the dome. You'll then need to use your jewellery pliers to make a bend in the eye pin, just a little way above the dome. Then use round-nosed pliers to create a loop in the wire. Hold this loop with one pair of flat pliers, and then you wrap the remaining wire around the upright section of the wire just under the loop. You want to wrap the wire a few times before cutting off the excess wire with wire cutters. I then attached an earring hook to this wire loop. I opened the loop on the earring hook by using a twist motion with my pliers, and then closed this loop around the loop on the earring. And this completes one earring. All you have to do is repeat this for the other earring, and then you've finished. Here you can see the completed earrings. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to make some very simple interlocking hoop earrings. For this DIY, I needed to cut 4 paper strips from an A4 sheet of pink paper and 2 strips from an A4 piece of yellow paper. Again, make sure you have your needle tool and some PVA glue ready. I'm going to be using a glue stick as the mould for the hoops. So I wrap a pink strip of paper around the glue stick once and glue it in place. I wrap the rest of the paper strip around the glue stick, making sure that the top and bottom edges line up. And then I glue the end of the strip down. I then attach another paper strip, just after the previous strip ended. Continue wrapping the paper strip in the same direction around the glue stick. And then again glue the end of that paper strip in place. And that completes the first hoop. So remove it from the glue stick and then leave it to dry. Repeat these steps for the other earring. Next, you need to add an interlocking hoop to this pink hoop. So we're going to take a yellow paper strip and we're going to feed it through the pink hoop. We're then just going to use our fingers to form this yellow paper strip into a circle and then glue this circle in place. You have to judge this by eye, and I personally made the yellow hoops slightly smaller than the pink hoops. Then we just use our fingers to continue wrapping this hoop. Once you've wound all of the paper strip, glue the end down. You can add another paper strip to this hoop, but I left it at just the one. I then added a jump ring using my jewellery pliers, and then an earring hook. You need to repeat all of these steps for the other earring, and then you've finished. And here are the completed earrings. And the last earrings in this video are going to be floral stud earrings. For this DIY, I'm going to use some pink paper strips, some yellow paper strips, and some black card. So as usual, the first step is to cut the paper strips using the paper cutter. I'm going to be using 12 bright pink paper strips and 2 bright yellow paper strips. For each earring, I'm going to need 6 pink paper teardrops and 2 yellow tight coils. So to make a teardrop, I take 1 pink paper strip and I put the end in the slotted tool. I then wind this paper into a coil. Then I remove the coil from the slotted tool and I put it into a circular guide on my quilling board in the second row up. Let the coil of paper expand to fill that circle shape and then glue the end of the paper strip in place. You'll need to make 6 coils exactly the same shape for each earring. We then need to turn the pink paper coils into teardrops. So you simply pinch one side of the paper coil, and that will give you the teardrop shape. Do this for all the pink paper coils. For the centre of the flower, I'm going to be making a yellow tight coil. So I take the end of a yellow paper strip and I insert it into the slotted tool. Again, I wind the strip into a coil and then glue the end in place. This coil is about the same size as the circular guides on the first row of my quilling board. You'll need to make 1 of these coils per earring. We then need to take a small square of black card and arrange these quilled shapes on top in a flower shape. It's useful to use tweezers for this step because it's quite fiddly. Simply put a yellow coil in the centre and then arrange 6 teardrops around it. Once you're happy with the arrangement, simply use some PVA glue to attach these shapes to the black card. Once the glue is dry, put this black card onto a cutting mat and use an X-Acto knife to cut all the way around this flower shape. And then to finish the earring, all you need to do is super glue an earring post onto the back. Because these earrings are fairly large, you'll want to put the earring post to one side rather than in the centre. Then just repeat all of these steps for the other earring as well. And then you've finished. And here are the completed earrings. And that's all 3 pairs of earrings finished. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and thank you very much for watching.